Okay, gentlemen, you're live.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the May 3rd Board of County Commissioners. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, gentlemen, first thing we have on our agenda are the minutes. Do we have any additions, corrections?
You have anything?
No, I don't.
I move to approve the minutes for Tuesday, April 26, 2022, as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County for April 26, 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, next up is planning. Looks like we have a signatures.
Signing.
Morning.
Good morning.
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 So the variance from the Jasso family was approved last week. We've got that document for signature.
Okay.
And then we have the Coulon Lot Moderate Mylar that was previously approved. We have that for signature, along with the Simmons boundary line adjustment. That's a subdivision amendment for signature. And we have Nordstrom's Mylar for signature that was previously approved.
I hope you guys don't get writer's cramp.
We spread them out. Let's
I hope you
go.
can spell the day. If
Today.
not, we'll bring your name tag.
T-O-D-A-Y, today. Cody? Oh.
This one is just for the chairman. He's special.
Right there, right there. You can't blame election day, 'cause you're not doing anything wrong.
That's right, today is election day.
You don't get this one.
You get this one.
I think Kim's done, she can head back to her office now.
Yeah.
Your screen sharing, okay. Comento.
That's all we got, unless there's something you guys have on your mind?
Questions,
I don't have any.
comments for planning, Commissioner? Okay, all right, I guess not.
Go
Okay,
plan
great.
something.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next is our public comment session. County Commissioners welcome you to this meeting. Person speaking during the public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted. Participants may not yield their time. With that, the public comment session is open. Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comment session. We're gonna move right into the Lodgers Tax Committee. Mr. Bartlett and Mr. Cloy. I don't see Mr. Cloy, but. Not quite here yet. Absolutely. You may proceed.
Morning.
Good morning.
How's that?
Hey,
Much gooder.
So the first question I have, the funding available this year is significantly more. Is that due to the fact of the resolution that we did for signing for the Airbnb and VRBOs?
A portion of that is probably from that, but the majority of that is just because lodgers were in the area, they were spending money in the area. It was a big bounce for us, and that is what you saw. I believe you'll see more of the money come in future quarters from what we did back in the first quarter of this year.
Right.
With regard to what you're speaking about.
So you were able to receive some of that then?
I believe
a
we were able
portion
to
of it.
receive a portion of that, but I don't think that the whole thing has started flowing yet, and I think when it does, you'll see an even bigger bounce.
Because that's over 100%.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Ian?
I think,
And Commissioner, just to provide you guys with an update of where we're at with those resolutions, I did get a signed copy back from VRBO. Just heard from Airbnb earlier this week, so we'll have those ready to go next week for the commissioners to sign.
very good. Thank you, Ian. I can't see you, or I guess I can see you. You're just on the other, you're a little bitty picture on my screen now, so sorry, I'll follow that.
Okay,
You're more than just a little bitty picture to me, Ian.
that's good. I'd rather be a little bitty picture today, I think.
So, I mean, this is, it's kind of good news, because I remember the first year I started on this commission and we had 140,000, and boy, all the municipalities were very angry because there just was no money to hand out. How do you feel the new Senate bill that just passed?
Well, as we discussed previously, House Bill 1117 is the one that you're referring to.
Or House bill, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir, and that one is, it's been passed. It's going to be the situation that we deal with now. It's the way that things are going to be related to. In some communities, Commissioner, people are looking at spending that money for a lot of different things. Of course, that needs to come back as a vote first before that can be spent
Sure.
differently. In some areas, perhaps like ours, we understand the value and we champion the value of tourism to the area, and we understand that right now is not the time to turn off those floodgates. There's a lot of stuff, as you can see, in what we've recommended to be awarded this year from the grant that really spreads within the community, and it covers all of Montezuma County and all of what we consider to be Mesa Verde country as well. So it really works well with what we're doing. The other part of this is that So far, we've had tremendous feedback on the people that have visited during the pandemic. We were able to turn that from a bad opportunity into something that gave us a chance to bring.
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing. I don't know if it's possible to pull the microphone closer,
I'm so
sorry.
Yes, sir. What we're seeing is a big bounce from people that came here during the pandemic. They were looking for a place to escape, a place to get away from everything. Now they've realized the value of this area. A lot of people are relocating. A lot of people are coming down here to work remotely. And a lot of people are adding this to their vacation path and some of the plans that they have on an annual basis now. So that was about the best outcome we could see from that. And as you can tell from the lodger's tax number, that is working, and we are receiving those people very well in this area. So I just returned from Denver. We were up in Denver yesterday for the Travel and Adventure Show. We saw about 50,000 people at that show over the course of Saturday and Sunday. And I have to say, for the first time in a couple years, rather than dealing with objections about how do we travel, what do we have to wear, what are the safety rules, all that, people are just asking about the area, the experience, what they can do here, what they can participate in, and how soon they can get down here and start playing. So we had a tremendous positive response to that.
Good. Do you guys have any questions for the request that they have?
No, I don't. Are you kind of caught back up from the first couple of lean years that we had?
I would say that we're always challenged to catch back up because a lot of things go sideways when we're trying to move forward under those conditions, but we are making progress, and I believe this will be the year where we reemerge, we break beyond even, and we get back into the message and the delivery of the services that we're known for and that we want to be recognized for having.
Good. I'm glad to hear that you were at that show in Denver.
Thank you, sir.
That's an important show.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So in order to pay these funds, I'll need a vote from the commission.
So any other questions for Mr. Bartlett
No.
on the recommendations that they have for the distribution of the $347,000 that they have?
I do not. I
Okay.
move that we approve the expenditure of the lodger's tax funds as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the lodger's tax fund allocation to the members listed above in the amount of $264,200. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, there you go.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much. And I want to just reiterate, as Ian has mentioned, when that other money starts to flow in, you will see the biggest bounce ever for this, and I believe this will be an excellent year. I thank you for your time and for your faith.
I did notice that, reading through these, that you have a couple of people that are going off this year.
Yes, sir, that is
Do you
correct.
have interest for those, or when do we need to, does that vacancy have to actually occur before we advertise again, or?
I don't believe it does. I believe we can advertise a little bit in advance of that. We have two members whose terms would expire in October, and Lee's term and my term would expire in January. So-
Are you guys going to be seeking reappointment?
I certainly would be very much in favor of that if that serves the purposes of the commission. So, yeah.
So we might put something out or jot our memories, because it's nice to get that filled so there's not a vacancy. So that's kind of what had happened last time. There
That
were
is correct.
vacancies in Dolores and Mancos, and
Yes.
then it created all of that.
Yes, that is correct.
Do you think the other two that are, their terms are expiring in October are going to seek reappointment?
I wouldn't be able to speak exactly for them, but I do believe that at the last conversation we had, everyone that was currently with the committee is interested in pursuing time in the future with the committee if it serves the purposes of the commissioners, so.
So maybe just a month prior to their expiration, that would be good.
And then they would need to submit
Yep.
letters to reapply.
So we don't leave any voids for you guys at all
I
for that
appreciate that.
committee.
I really appreciate that. It's wonderful to have all the voices in the room and all the areas represented, and that's what we try to do, so thank you for helping with that.
All right. Very good. Well, looks, that's
Have
the
a-
best I've ever seen it.
Have a good season.
Thank you so much.
Have a better season. How's that?
Thank you. I can't wait to report back soon, so thank you for
All
your
right.
time.
Thank you. All right, next, Shecky, you have a proclamation for us, a ride to work day?
We do, and Corey Robson is here also. He's the one that presented at our workshop back in April.
morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Would you like me to run through kind of one more time
Sure.
what we discussed and then answer some questions? So I'm working with the Land Conservancy Next Generation Advisory Board, and we're putting together a Bike to Work Day for May 20th on Friday. We've got locations set up in Mancos, Cortez, and Dolores with free coffee and snacks to try to bribe people to try riding their bike in. The benefits are many, from physical health to mental health to fewer cars on the road, better parking places when you get to work. So we are pursuing a lot of businesses in town to also offer little perks for people in whatever way they see fit, to make it kind of a well-rounded experience for people who maybe are trying this for the first time. It's also been documented that the more riders on the road, the safer it is for everybody. I think it's because more drivers are aware and looking out. We've also been in touch with the Sheriff's Office and the City of Cortez Police, and I think they're going to come out and help with some education on bike safety and some general outreach. So, yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Do riders still have to license their bikes?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
Yeah.
but they still have to follow all the motor vehicle laws?
Mm-hmm. Stop signs and bike lanes and signaling and all. Yep. So I think that'll be good conversation with the law enforcement community as well.
Commissioner?
I
Question?
don't have any question.
All right.
I just want to see you riding that bike with that suit on.
Hopefully it'll be a nice, cool day.
Just don't catch the tie in the spokes.
It's supposed to promote physical health. Well, mine bucked me off last night. It's
Oh, no.
nothing physical other than just a little bit of pain,
Yikes.
but it was very enjoyable.
Good.
All right, well, gentlemen, I would entertain,
I would so move we sign the proclamation for Ride Your Bike to Work Day. You want to read the proclamation?
Sure.
do you have it up? Yeah.
Yep. Whereas, for more than a century, the bicycle has been a utilitarian and economically sound and effective means of personal transportation, recreation, mental well-being, and physical fitness. And whereas Montezuma County encourages physical, mental, and emotional wellness. And whereas Montezuma County recognizes the bicycle as a legitimate form of transportation and therefore entitled to legal and responsible use of public roads of Montezuma County. And whereas Montezuma County, recognizing the use of bicycles as a viable mode of transportation, endeavors to promote safe and responsible bicycling. And whereas the League of American Bicyclists have established May as National Bicycle Month. Now therefore, we, the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners, and in such capacity do hereby proclaim May 20th, 2022 as Ride Your Bike to Work Day in Montezuma County, and encourage the people of this great community to be proactive in their physical, emotional, and mental health.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign the proclamation for Ride Your Bike to Work Day. Any other discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And you guys have 2 copies of that proclamation, one for Miss Kim to keep and one for Corey to take with him.
Thanks so much, everybody. See you out there.
Yep. Are you riding in 12 hours?
I have to work this weekend, so.
Oh yeah, that's what I'd say.
Unfortunately not. I did ride my bike here this morning.
Good.
Solidarity.
I think it's more than just, I do wanna mention that it's more than just biking. I mean, it could be walking, it could be a big wheel, it could be whatever, just to promote.
I think we ought to do a Ride Your Ostrich to Work Day.
Well, if you can bridle one.
I don't
Bring
know,
it
I've
on
never
up.
tried.
Thank you, Corey.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. All right, next we're gonna move right into Public Works, Mr. Engelhardt.
Morning.
Morning.
How are you guys today?
Good. You?
Good. So, schedule first for the month of May. Activities will be pushing through this month. Mag chloride started this week. We started in Mancos. We'll work our way through Dolores and then back around to Cortez. And so that'll be about a 3, maybe 4-week activity depending on the weather, how it goes and all that. But those areas we want to get real quick before we lose our ability to get water in Mancos with the water flows the way they are over there. It'll probably come quicker than we'd like. So we'll knock that one out real quick. We're hauling chips and road base this month. A lot of chips being hauled to different locations for the chip sealing this summer. We've found some locations to set it strategically to make it easier to pick up later with our end dumps and haul. So we're locating those piles of chips where they need to be to do that work. So that'll go on through the month. Along with Road Y and 16, activities should start winding down on that where we can start hauling gravel out there and have it set up and ready for chip sealing later this summer. Along with that, we'll be work on Road Y and 16. Y has been real busy the last 2 weeks. We had some big fills to put in out there on a couple of narrow points, extended the culverts, put some new long culverts in, and then widened out the road in those 2 big draws and gave us a good path through there. So that's wrapping up. We pulled the slopes on those yesterday and reopened the road for travel through our work through the day now instead of closing the road. We just had about a 8-day period where we kept the road closed so we could do that work during the day. So the road is now open again and traveling through, and so just travel safely and be careful while we work through there. It's all signed up and where we're just working along and just get along with us, you know, do the best we can. Also, we'll be doing some blading out in the north part of Lewis area in the dryland roads, the dirt roads out there, cleaning that up for the spring season, along with Road 41 down Weber Canyon, up on Summit Ridge. Some of that work activity will start up later this month and get them roads cleaned up for the spring. So that's what we're doing for the month of May. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
I just want to take this opportunity while we're on YouTube and some people are listening about 14 right now. We've had some incidents where people have kind of ignored the caution signs and got kind of close to our road crew. And I know at least one incident we had to get a deputy involved. Our guys are just out there doing a job. We don't need anybody to get hurt. So when you see those signs and you see our guys working, slow down and be respectful.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was actually running through closed road signs, just driving right on through them and about hit a crew. Today was another incident of a person speeding through the job, and so we're resetting signs, readjusting our electric signs, and had to call that into the Sheriff's Department this morning to help with that. So it is an issue out there, and the guys are being careful to watch for them. Keep your head on swivels, how we do it.
So they're just going beyond the road closed signs?
Now that one that he was talking about, they did. They just drove right through it. Yeah. So right into the work. So, which is highly illegal. So.
Right.
Did they do any damage?
No, they didn't. And the Sheriff's Department was very quick to respond to it, and that helped a lot. That particular person that lives out there didn't do it again. So I don't know what was said, but it worked. So that was good. Their help was greatly appreciated. So, yep.
So I know that a couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago, you had talked or said that you needed the communication between the sheriff and you on these bigger projects. Is that taking place to where they actually are helping you out a little bit? Kind of monitoring that, or?
No, we're doing all right with that. It's just when these things happen, you just do follow protocol. You report it to the dispatch, and a deputy calls and take the case, and you go with it, you know. And so, as long as the signs are up and we do our due diligence to inform the public, which we do, well, then we're just hope that people will respect it. That's all you can do. So, and keep your head on a swivel.
As we expand, according to the census, we're not, but we're growing into the outlying areas more and more all the time, and traffic's getting heavier and heavier. So, like Shaq said, please respect our road crews out there.
Yeah.
They're out there doing a job, and we don't close roads lightly. We just do it when we think that safety requires it. So.
Right. Well, in the case that we was doing Road Y, we hadn't really no choice. The road was too narrow for 2 lanes of traffic, so we couldn't work on it. So once we got those big fills in, we do pull shoulders now. We do that type of work, but we work with the traffic flows, and it works real well. We sign up, and It's just, there's always one or two that are in a hurry, or something's going on, or something going, you know, just the way it is, so. And you're right about that, Kent. I mean, if you go to Cortez, it's a different type of sign up completely compared to, say, Pleasantview.
Right.
But as you move north, you see that population growth and that type of person, drivers, they think they're in town and they can just do what they want or go where they need, and it just changes, the whole culture changes. You know?
It does.
Yeah, so.
And this calendar is online, and Vicky lets the public know on social media and on the website when we're gonna close a road, so. Unless, of course, it's like an emergency and a road's flooded and we have to get down there, but that doesn't seem to be too much of a threat.
No.
Not anymore, yeah, so. But like mag chloride, I mean, if you wanna speed through that stuff, go right ahead, you know, cause you're gonna be washing your car for a day or two doing it, you know, so that, it's funny what gets their attention and what don't. You'd think the person's safety would be number one, but mag chloride takes precedence, so.
Yeah,
It does change their attitude a little, so.
If they do drive through that, make sure you wash your undercarriage real well.
Yeah, yeah, and we are putting it on the roads, and, it's out there, and it's greatly appreciated by the people that get it. You know, just, it helps a lot, so it's there, so.
And I'd just go one step further. I know I'm speaking particularly for the road department this morning, but if you see any of the guys from Empire Electric doing shoulder work, or Farmers Telephone, or anybody else that's represented in this room today out there doing work, slow down and be careful.
Yeah, you know, yeah, we're all in the same boat out there, absolutely. All the utility companies face the same thing, so, yeah. So,
Okay.
I was just sitting here thinking of electric cars going across the top of mag chloride, what it would do to those connections underneath there.
good thought.
Cause
Well,
it's hard,
eventually find out.
it's hard on connections, I know that.
Yeah. So, you know, with, since we're talking mag, we are, continuing with our water shortage program that we initiated a few years ago when the drought really started kicking in, or I guess it's been here for a long time, but we really got in trouble. So there's a lot of blading activities that we won't do this year that we normally would if we had plenty of water. We've got the
Awesome.
water trucks, we just don't have the water, you know? And it's just a gut punch to a man out there, or a woman out there trying to make a living with water, to watch us dumping water on a road, you know? So we'll do what's necessary to do the mag, we'll do what's necessary to fix a bad spot if it's that bad, but you're just not gonna see us out there all summer running up and down the roads, spreading water and blading. We're just not doing it. So that's one of the things we do. We do put the mag on, and we've added more mag to our budget to help with this problem, because this drought doesn't seem to be dissipating and going away. And then, we do have part-time employees on call during the summer that are good blade operators, and if we get a good rain, now I mean, it's gotta be a good rain, it can't be a 20-minute shower, but a good 1 or 2 day, 3 day rain, and it happens to be on a Friday, we will be out there with blades, and we will be hitting those roads that are our worst problems. We won't be particularly taking care of this road, because it ain't that bad yet, but we will be taking care of that road, because it's just coming apart at the seams. You know, we'll do the best we can. And we do have people on call to do that, and part-time workers that are ex-county employees that know the roads, they're retired, and they like to make a little cash, and we've set that up to help blade those roads. You just don't see too many of them rains anymore, you know, even during the monsoon, so. We always go around saying, well, if it rains, we'll blade your road. Well, sometimes we can, and then most of the time anymore, it's not enough rain to do that either, so. But we do try. So that's our program for the summer, and I just want to tell you that it's sad that we can't do more, but we just can't with the way the water situation is, so.
Okay.
I do have pictures of the generator we bought. You guys gave us the approval to purchase this. This is a great investment for $30,000. This is a nice machine. This is a couple of pictures there. It's down at the crusher. It's running. It runs as smooth as it can be. It's just a good machine. So I think we made a very good investment with this generator. That will go into a van. Once we get shut down with the chips and have time, we will put it inside of a van, take the old one out, and get it where we can transport it. But all we had to do is set it on the ground and fire it up, and it went right to work for us. So we got rid of that big rental we had going with Wagner Rents, so it's a good deal. So.
Good.
Since you guys proclaimed Bicycle Day, let's talk bicycles. We got a problem at Mancos that I didn't know about till this weekend. I get phone calls too, so This one here is a problem with parking, and I didn't know this was going on, but I knew over the last couple of years they were working on putting in a bike trail over at Road 39 north of 160. And we have on this picture here a arrow pointing at a place where there is a sign for parking on the BLM, which leads to the town of Mancos landfill, the old landfill. The problem I'm having here on this particular one though is they don't give them any place to park. There's about 50 foot from the edge of the road to a locked gate, or not a locked gate, but a closed gate that leads on into the landfill. And so they use that lot up in about 2 vehicles, maybe 3, and then they're parking on the road. And then if you go on around the corner and you go up to the upper end of that picture there, you see where I drew another arrow. There's a new parking spot that's being put in that I had no idea was going in. There's no culvert, there's no access off the road. They just opened up the fence and said, go park in the sagebrush there. So that either fills up or the little cars can't get in and the people park on the road again, blocking the road. And we had this problem down McCamel several years ago. And so we finally had to just go put up signs with penalty included. It's you get a parking ticket for it. So I didn't know if you guys were aware of this, because I certainly wasn't. I didn't know if you were kept abreast of this. But this is not kind of what BLM usually does. Usually they work with us instead of.
So have you talked to Connie?
No, but I talked to James yesterday, and he's gonna call Connie, and we're gonna get a meeting set up with her, and
Okay.
get going on that. But, you know, after what I heard this morning, I think these people ought to park on the state highway and ride their bicycles in. You know, why are you driving all these cars up there? You're on your bike, go ride, you know? So, I thought that was a good proclamation you signed. That's my thoughts, so. There's a shoulder on the state highway to park on, so.
Yeah, I think is all we have to do is get with Connie and just,
Well, I think we need to close this other one. It's not even on the map. It's just opened up, and the sign now, go to that picture there, is a close-up of that picture.
right there.
Yeah, the next one, that one cracked me up. I can't read it from here, but it says, sorry for the mess, but we're working on getting funds to improve this parking lot. And please bear with us over whatever it takes to do this. And I'm thinking like, well, why don't we just close the gate until you get a parking lot? Then there's a place that these people can park. It's just really out of whack. So I just wanted to know if you guys were aware of this, or? No. Okay.
I've heard nothing from it.
And then the next picture, Shaq, is, go to the next one, you can see, kind of driving through the gate there, you can see in there, there's some yellow pin flags. If you look close, that usually indicates there's either a utility running through there, or maybe a sensitive area, don't drive on it. There's a ditch that runs through it, and the road coming off the road is very steep. It's not an easy drive. There's no culvert, there's no application for a driveway. It's like, what in the world is going on? And all these phone calls hit me over the weekend, you know, so.
And yellow generally indicates gas.
Gas, right.
So,
Yeah, probably CO2 or some gas line, yeah, so. And then the last picture, it's hard to tell. I wish I had parked my pickup on the edge of the road a little better and took the picture, but that is a pretty steep drop off. So a lot of those little cars probably do have a hard time driving in there. That's kind of a drag your bottom type of access, but, again, where's the culvert? Where's the driveway permit? Where's the legal driveway access, you know, so. So I will get after it, and I just wanted to make sure I wasn't stepping on some toes that was accidentally or missing or something, so.
No, nobody here has been contacted about it, but that's a permit, a culvert, and a way to get in there. That's not I can't imagine Connie or anybody at the BLM office will have any issues with that.
And well, you know, in the past, on Road 31 or Road 32, that was all pre-planned. We got together, had meetings, we donated some culverts, they got contractors, they put the culverts in, built the parking lots, and it's working like a dream. And then all of a sudden, this one just like, all right, I'll be over there Monday, we'll see what's going on. So that's what happened this weekend. So. And the speeds now on that road, I mean, the road is open to the public. That's always gonna be that way. There's no denying that. But now there's more traffic, more speed, and we're bagging that road today to get it back under control. It was rough as all get out. I didn't realize it had gotten that rough. So it's just all this influx of traffic hadn't had no warning. So just letting you know that we will pursue an access driveway and close the gate until they get it. And that's what we'll pursue, so. And then I don't know who to talk to about the town of Mancos, but if you're gonna use that as a launching pad and you put it on a map, there ought to be a place to park, you know, not on the roads. Our roads are not parking lots, so.
So that's a BLM property though, right? Not the town of Mancos?
Well, the
town of
one
Mancos.
is, the one on the corner, down on the corner there, that's the
that
town
is?
of Mancos, because that's where the old landfill was.
Right,
Oh, gotcha.
That's what you're talking about, right,
Yes, sir.
Rob? Yeah, see, and it's the same kind of deal, only that belongs to the town of Mancos, that corner does.
Yeah, they
Right
gotta
there,
travel
right there.
through
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the,
yeah.
they got a little
Yeah.
piece of BLM to go through to get to the gate for the town of Mancos, you can see that. And that's only about 50 feet roughly. And it's just a little narrow 12-foot road to go into that gate, 14 foot maybe. And there's enough room for maybe 2 vehicles to park there. But that's signed up, that's on a map now, signs. That should have been opened up in a
Shaq,
parking
we
lot.
probably ought to put that on our,
Board discussion.
Yeah.
board discussion
Yeah.
for the town of Mancos,
Yeah, and
which is coming up.
maybe
shortly.
Matt Bradshaw wants to build a parking lot, Don. 49 squares.
So the big problem I have though is the safety to the public traveling the road. It's not McCamel Canyon, obviously, like we had there on there with Sand Canyon. But it's still being blocked and it's still causing jam ups and there's no parking allowed on our roads. It's very open in our standards. You can't park on our roads. You can park in the ditch. If you wanna drive down that ditch, I don't care. That's not the point. But the road has got to stay open, 2 lanes traffic, so. And, I'm kinda surprised that the BLM did this without working closer to get the parking lots established before they just opened up the trailhead, so,
We'll take a ride.
okay?
We'll take a ride.
Okay. Oh, not today. It's nagging today. Do it next week, let it settle down.
Okay.
My advice. So,
You
They-
know, if you
Just got
get,
one of them electric cars over
yeah, there you go. Take Glenn's.
if you get lost during your 12 hours this weekend, you could probably get out there and back. Just
Probably
extend
do
that
that.
17-mile loop to, I don't know, a 35-mile loop, you'll
Yeah.
be good to go.
That's not a big deal.
No.
Okay?
But they
That's
are,
all I got, so,
they are parking on the road out there, like you said,
yeah.
Rob.
And
'cause
I'm
I
sure
was
the
out there
weekends are the
day
worst,
there
you
on the
know,
road.
so.
Yeah.
Yesterday, there was nobody on the road. What you saw in those pictures, that's what was there, so. But this weekend, I guess it got pretty bad out there, so. And, I'll probably have to go get some signs and put it up and remind people you can't park on the road. If they can get down the ditches and keep the lanes open, they won't have any problem with the road department, you know.
Okay. And then we also have a DocuSign, which we need to approve. I got it
Oh,
this
yeah,
morning
you did make
from,
it? Okay.
Yeah.
CDOT, from Rose. I don't even know how to say her name. Jana? Anyway, and that's for the
I'm
Um,
gonna see if I can get that. to
Alkali
display.
Canyon project.
Alkali
If you wanna,
Bridge?
Yeah.
if you wanna bring that up, Shaq.
I
then I
never
can-
did get a PDF, so I'm just gonna bring it up on a,
We'll approve it, and then I can go ahead and get it signed. and-
Yeah, it's gonna be a
Sent out.
DocuSign, so if you guys, we've already reviewed it was a contract, and they had to send over, we reviewed it all, we all said,
Yep.
yeah, it looks good.
I saw
And
the
then it got
email.
somewhere in the haze, you know, so. So if you can do a DocuSign on that today, that'll proceed with, probably allowing us, if we still have time, to put the job out for bid. And we'll have to sit down and have a long talk about where we're at with the season now, and where this goes, and availability of materials. I wouldn't wanna get into this in January and
Yeah.
be in trouble, so, you know, we are into May now, so I'll have to have a talk with everybody about that part, but we are at least getting this done, so.
Okay, Ian, do you have any questions or comments on this?
No, this is standard. I don't have any concerns.
Okay, all right, gentlemen.
Looks good to me. I move we DocuSign the agreement. Can you go get me down just a little bit? Yeah. For project BRO C 320-004, parentheses, 22521, close parentheses, with the state of Colorado.
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to sign the agreement with the State of Colorado Department of Transportation and Montezuma County for project, the Alkali Creek Bridge in the amount of $1,825,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 and then Commissioner, I can't DocuSign for you from the link I have. All I have is the
I'll get it right
opportunity to
here.
close it, so,
I'll get it right
Eh,
now.
okay. Sounds good.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Done.
You bet.
Good deal. Mr. Shanks will appreciate that. So, do
Yeah.
we. So, okay,
Okay.
all right. Are you
You
done?
should be able to review it if you can, Rob, but
All
it's done. Okay,
All right, thank you.
all right.
See you in a month.
Have a good day.
Have a good one.
Back there.
Public comment is over.
It's just a road and bridge thing, I was gonna
You-
say since he was out, but.
If you want to, you can just catch Rob in the back.
I already talked to him about it, I was just gonna give you guys a heads up, but we're good.
Okay. Okay, let's see, Mel, we're gonna pull you up next. You're on the bottom, but I don't see Bonnie here yet.
She's still doing a walkthrough at Hawkins. I'm reaching out to her now
Justin
to see her
is
time.
sick, so the fairground is gonna be removed from the agenda today.
Morning, Mel.
Good morning.
How was your inspection?
Windy.
Yeah, it was windy.
Did you close the
We did
landfill so they
close.
couldn't
We
inspect?
wasn't gone 30 minutes and we closed. But the inspection went well.
Good.
You'll be getting, the final report after he writes it, sends it to me, but I think he CCs you guys on that as well. But if not, you'll get a copy of it. So 5 years in a row with no violations.
Good.
Good deal.
So at the last meeting, we didn't do the closure, post-closure, transfer of funds. Mr. Powers wasn't here, we need to get that taken care of.
Did you give me an amount?
Well, I presented last time two different amounts. The last time we put money into the closure account, we based it off of the gross income for the year at 7.5%. And if we do that, that would put $131,203 into the closure account. If we do it based on their growth rate and what we're supposed to have at the end of 40 years, it would put $98,910 in every year. So we have the money whichever way you'd like to do that.
Make a recommendation, I'll write a
There's a
transfer
lot of
order.
difference there between 98 and
131.
131. I mean, what do you need? We only have an X amount that we need for that post-closure, right?
It's about $4 million is what it's supposed to be in that account by the time we close the landfill. And to
And-
make that $4 million, we need to put in right at $99,000 a year. consistent.
My recommendation to the board would be if we have more that we can put it in now. So if there's a year when it's a little leaner and we don't have it to put in, we can put in a little less, but you guys,
But we got that.
I don't have a transfer order prepared either way, but that's how I would do it.
Well, we can do that transfer order next week.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's what we did last time.
Recommended
We
the
put in
131?
The larger amount.
That's what I'd go with, because there may be a year where it's a little leaner and you can't transfer as much.
Right.
And if we never hit a leaner year and we have the money built up ahead of time, then in 20 years, we
Are
don't
you saying
transfer.
that trash is going to go away? It's going to diminish?
Probably
It's
not.
blowing away.
Gonna have to
I
build a
think it
cover
only
over the
increases.
landfill to keep the trash in. It's trying to escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a nightmare trying to keep up with the litter down.
So if you need approval on that before you have the actual,
I wasn't here for the last discussion, like you said, so I can write a transfer order that says either way. My
Well-
recommendation would be,
I would say we can go with your recommendation if you guys agree, and then just have the transfer order next Tuesday, and then we
Yeah.
can get it voted on and
if you
signed.
have your savings account built up quicker, there's no problem with that.
Get there in a hurry. You need a motion now?
No,
or-
We'll wait
not
for
until we
the-
have the transfer order.
Wait for the
so.
transfer order,
Okay.
because we don't have a number.
And
Okay.
so your BOMAG's here,
It is.
Is it still running?
better be.
Uh-oh, no.
So we had, all the first few days, it's just working the bugs out of it. We had a couple hydraulic lines come loose. And then Friday, they came to do the first service on it. While he was there, it blew an O-ring, which nobody had. But they did get it up and running by the end of the day, so, and it's running today. But like any new machine, you'll have a few bugs here. and there.
Warranty work.
Yeah, yeah. So That's about all I have. The inspection went good. We did the test holes for the clay. We have some excellent clay, which is northeast of cell 1. I was hoping our permitter was gonna come with the inspector so I could show him, but I did show the inspector the clay. He took pictures with it, and he will get with Ed, our permitter, on getting this. And I have a phone conversation with them Friday morning to start getting permitted to clear the overburden off that clay so we can get to it to build the carbon compound.
How deep is it?
We dug down a couple of places, 6-8 feet, and we ran into clay about a foot under the topsoil, and it was down 8 feet.
Oh, good.
And that stuff is hard.
So we have a lot.
There's quite a bit there. So.
How big of a field are you gonna clear to get the overburden off of it? A couple acres or?
Oh, no, it's probably gonna be probably about 8 to 10 of trees right there that we'll clear to get to it. And we have 2 spots. Over there by the sheriff's range is also really good clay, and that's one of the conversations we're gonna have with CDPHE, because they're concerned with the old septic pits that were over there, but this isn't part of that area where the septic pits were. It's to the south and to the east of that area, so.
How much material do you have to move before you hit clay?
Not much if you only have to take off a foot.
There's only about a foot up there
And-
northeast of cell 1.
Yeah.
And over by the sheriff's range, in that valley,
Mhm.
clay's right there at the surface, and we dug an 8-foot hole there, and there's clay all the way down.
So there's no
That's,
surface.
that's super good. That's not a lot of overburden to move.
No.
That's
There's
what
a
you
hill
want.
right there that's got about a foot on it. We'll have to clear that off, but
How big is that hill? I guess what I'm getting at is if you have some overburden to move, we've got a project to talk to you about filling a low spot by the sheriff's range.
Oh, there'll be plenty.
actually Tyson was gonna get with me on that
Yeah,
supposedly this week.
I would just recommend if you have overburden right next to the sheriff's range, that you build up that low spot using that overburden. But
We
I
can
guess
do
you'd have
that.
probably figured that out on your own,
Well,
so.
that, and we also have to use to fill in the carbon field, cause we got like 33,000 cubic yards to
Yep.
move over there to get it, just the subgrade. right?
Just to get before you can put the clay there.
That's a lot of soil.
Good.
So, we're still plugging along. It's just the wind. It's a nightmare for us. I know people are getting upset, but there's nothing we can do about it.
Close today?
Not yet.
Not yet,
Okay.
but I expect we will. It was 30 mile an hour when I left. And Sunday, during the winds, it hit 66 miles an hour down there.
How much, 66?
66 miles an hour.
Yeah, you're not far from closing right now.
No.
Okay. Well, if you're closed, I guess that BOMAG's not having to run, right?
That BOMAG, when it's windy, will stop, will not stop. Them guys are on that track to try and keep as much wind on the other.
Are you using both of them?
No, the other one's broke down. We're waiting on parts.
Okay.
They're supposed to be here this week. We'll see. But that's all I've got.
All right. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you, Mel.
We'll have that transfer order ready next week. and
I'll give this to you, Shaq.
We can vote on that then. Well, I still don't see our noxious weed department. We have nothing under unfinished business. We will move back up to the agenda when Bonnie shows up. So Ian, I guess, we're gonna go right into our reports. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so biggest thing I have to report this week, I've been working with social services and our emergency management staff to develop some releases that will allow certain clients with disabilities and other physical issues to, in essence, release their information. A database will be created that will allow emergency management to have addresses and access to the individual's needs. And in the case of an emergency, you do have like an individual, for instance, who is physically handicapped in some way. Emergency management can be aware, and they'll be able to go out and assess and provide the assistance that they need. So been working with emergency management, IT, and social services on developing releases that will cover that sort of release of information. Also continue to work on the brief for the Road 41 case. That is due on Thursday. We've been in communications throughout the last week with the insurance company's attorney, and we've got that thing pretty much wrapped up. I think it's about 49 pages, the last draft that was circulated. So that'll be filed on Thursday, and then at that point we'll await a ruling from the court. I anticipate the court will probably set the matter for oral argument. The attorneys for PAX, the company that is down on Road 41, they did ask for oral argument in the case, and so I do anticipate that oral argument will be heard, and then we'll await a ruling. Other than that, I don't have anything more to report.
Okay, thank you, Ian. James Dietrich, I know you have a couple letters for us today. Good morning.
Good morning, James.
So what I have here, we have letters of support for the MMOF grant cycle that has come up through CDOT. We're asking for two different asks. One of them will be for funding to finish up the preliminary engineering and right-of-way acquisition on segment A. And that will be an ask to the state MMOF funds. And the reason we're asking for state funds is that we don't want to get sideways in the future for looking for the federal implementation monies on that. So they say that federal monies will be eligible on this, so we're going to put some notes in there. Just basically say that whichever fund of money you feel like giving us is fine, we'll take it. But hopefully we don't have any hiccups with the federal match in the future, and that's the only thing we want to make sure of on that one. So that is the SWTPR funding request, segment A, preliminary engineering and right-of-ways. The second request is also an MMOF fund request that's specific to the ARPA funding. And this will be a request on the Mancos side for segments C and D. And what that request will be for is for the remaining match so that we can meet our FWHA requirement. And that should get us a soft surface pathway all the way from Mancos to the Mesa Verde entrance. In addition, we're asking for additional funding to be able to put in conduit so that we can run broadband underneath the trail. And we are also asking for dollars to finish that trail with a concrete surface. That is the ultimate goal. We've always planned to have a concrete surface trail. But again, we're doing it in phases based upon funding. It looks like we may have an opportunity here to include concrete as part of one of those phases. So that is the remaining ask for segment C and D, Mancos side.
Questions?
No.
Okay.
James, how long we been at this?
We have been at this, well, we've formally been at this since about 2014.
Okay.
But we'd started a couple years prior to that doing the public outreach and you know, some initial work. But the process formally started in 2014 when we landed a TAP grant, and that initiated the Planning and Environmental Linkages Study. So that was the official start.
Thank you. Because I remember Chris Burkett coming into a previous commissioners meeting and laying this all out.
Yes. So Kent, if you're asking how long this concept has been around, it's been 20 years or better. You bet. Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. So gentlemen, so that concludes the ask for these two letters of support. The remainder of my report is really that I've been working with the DWARF committee. It sounds like we have got some additional dollars that are coming in through the CFL fund. And so that is something that we will try to channel through Mancos Conservancy District. And we'll just be asking for a letter of support. What I hear is that it's supposed to be due next Wednesday, so on Tuesday you should have a letter to bring forward to you guys for support on that also. Sounds like that's moving forward, and the co-swap dollars are also coming our direction, and so we will also be coordinating with Dwarf on that. Sounds like some of those dollars will be available to be able to secure some funding for Danny Margulies to be able to continue to administer what he's doing with Dwarf right now, which is something we sorely need. So that part will be helpful. And then I think that some of those dollars will be available to help cross-boundary treatments. So in other words, we really want to be able to get out there to private lands and be able to provide some assistance to private landowners, especially through the WUI up there on the forest boundaries.
Great. I would so move we sign letter of support to the Colorado Department of Transportation, the Southwest TPR funding request segment C and D Mancos side for local match broadband conduit and concrete surface.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign the letter of support to the Colorado Department of Transportation and the Southwest TPR funding request segment C and D, make a side for local match, broadband conduit, and concrete surface. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next.
I move to approve the Southwest TPR, this request to the Southwest TPR Board for the Segment A preliminary engineering right-of-way.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign the letter of support sent to the Colorado Department of Transportation in regards to the Southwest TPR funding request for Segment A, preliminary engineering of right-of-ways. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen. While you're signing that too, I will let you know that I have been in contact with the BLM regarding the parking down there on Road 39. It appears that they think they have a parking permit, or I should say a driveway permit, but of course it has not been developed. So we'll continue to coordinate with Rob on that, make sure everybody gets in the loop, figure out whether or not they do actually have a permit or not at this point, and what they need to do to take care of it. So
Okay, good.
anyway, we'll continue to help try to facilitate that.
All right, very good. What about the town of Mancos? Have
No,
you contacted
I
them
have not
also?
talked to the town of Mancos regarding their situation there. As far as I know, they have a driveway permit for the landfill. I haven't heard anything otherwise, but of course, that's something we need to verify and make sure they've got. So, what I did hear from the BLM was that they think they've got enough parking for about 12 cars in the area where they want a new parking lot. So anyway, that should probably be enough to accommodate the use out there on a normal day. If they have a special event or something like that, that's a whole different deal. But 12 vehicles should be about enough to probably handle that, especially if they accommodate some parking up there at the Mancos Town landfill also. But we'll work through all that, and again, I haven't really heard anything more about it than Rob has, so this was kind of a surprise to me also. So, but we'll work through it. You know, this sounds like it's a pretty soluble problem here.
Yeah. Okay, very
Okay,
good.
thank you,
All right,
gentlemen.
Thanks, James. All right, now we're gonna go back up to the top of our agenda, and I see Bonnie has come in, so Bonnie, you are. You're next.
Okay, what weed is this?
A big weed.
Big weed. Yeah,
Could
good
be,
job, tumbleweed,
It's
Russian,
thistle.
That's a business
Russian
opportunity.
thistle.
I've
Russian
seen a
thistle.
website selling these things.
for what?
$25.
Oh,
You
for,
can decorate them,
oh, good
it's
God.
up there somewhere. Yes.
We can make a lot of money here, huh?
Think of the freight cost.
You could like spray paint them.
Yeah, anyway, Russian thistle.
Russian thistle.
Okay, next. So what's blooming right now? Myrtle spurge, leafy spurge are both blooming. That main picture and then the top right is myrtle spurge. The bottom right is leafy spurge. These are both on our local list A. Myrtle spurge is on the state list A. The city has done a great job with managing the ones within the city. I've only found like 3 properties with it now, whereas it used to be on over a dozen properties. So we're doing pretty good. Next.
With that myrtle spurge, don't they sell that right across the state border?
Yeah, unfortunately in New Mexico,
It's
it's
pretty.
just on the watch list. It's very toxic. It'll cause blisters. If you eat it, it'll probably kill you. So very poisonous, very invasive. But in New Mexico, it's just on their watch list, whereas Colorado, it's on their A list. So I've been talking to the CDA, trying to get them to maybe collaborate with other states and at least get it listed on the C list in New Mexico to make it illegal to sell. Because right now they're selling it in Farmington as like donkey tail. So people are buying it down there and bringing it up here and planting it, not knowing that it's non-native and designated as a noxious weed here. So it's a problem. Here we got blue mustard. I'm sure you guys have seen this. It's not on the noxious weed list. It is non-native and it's very obnoxious, but it's one that people are constantly asking us to identify for them. So here you guys go. It's an annual, just obnoxious. It's nothing poisonous or anything.
Blue mustard that's lavender.
Yeah, say, wait a minute.
I don't name him. I guess he was colorblind. I don't know. Red stem fillery is on our noxious weed list. It's on the C list, recommended for control and suppression. You'll see this all over the place. It's a winter annual, so it's flowering right now. Next. Hoary cress, you're going to start to see this starting to bloom. I think we've gotten a pretty good handle on our populations in Montezuma County compared to when it really exploded a few years ago. So I'm thinking our populations are down at least 40%, which is great. But this is a very invasive weed. It'll grow 15 feet in every direction within a single season. It has very short windows to manage. So April and May is probably the only time you can actually manage it. Anything outside that, once it goes to seed, it goes dormant under the soil, so you can't do anything. So even if you try reseeding something on top of it when it's dormant, when it gets undormant, it's just going to kill whatever you planted. So this is one of our most aggressive species in our county.
What's a control?
What's the control? It's very resistant to a lot of the herbicides we have available. The only thing that we've found to work is called metsulfuron. It's sold as Escort or Telar. They're all dry granules, but they can burn grasses, but really they're broadleaf selective, so it should only hurt your hoary cress as long as you're doing it by the correct rates. But you can't mechanically manage it because the root systems are so extensive, just like Canada thistle. If you till it, all the fragments of roots will just grow new plants. Mowing it isn't going to do much. If you continue to mow it for years and years and years, eventually you might deplete the nutrients in the root system, but it's still absorbing nutrients through the root system, so mowing it's really not going to accomplish much. It's said to cause bloating in animals, but I think they'd have to eat a lot of it for that to occur.
And Bonnie, do you wanna-
They won't eat it.
No.
They won't eat it.
Do you want to talk
Nothing.
about
Yeah, you'd have to starve them to death to make them eat that stuff.
do you want to talk about the window in which there is to treat this?
So right now is great. Right when it flowers is actually the best time to treat it. And also it's good because you can actually see it better once it starts flowering. You can see it from miles away once it starts flowering. But probably the end of May, you'll see it to start turning yellow. And at that point, you've missed your window. So right now, if you know if it's on your property, start treating it. I think a majority of the properties, I would say over 80% of the properties that have this, we've already notified. So they should know how to manage it and when to treat it. And we'll probably start getting backpack sprayers calls for the white top.
What about vegetation killer, straight vegetation killer? Will that manage it?
Glyphosate, no, it won't really kill the root system. It's pretty tolerant, resistant to it. Yeah, it seems like the only herbicide that works is Escort, which is a pain for us because our county spray trucks use injection systems for our herbicide, and when we use dry granule, it's a big challenge, because if we don't use the whole load that we put in the truck that day, it'll start to solidify and it will clog up all our tanks. So it's a pain. I wish they had a liquid derivative of this chemical compound, but they don't yet. This is one of our most challenging species in this county, kochia. It's an annual. It's very aggressive. It's resistant to over 90% of the herbicides we have. We've learned over the years the best course of action to manage this is with pre-emergent. And you'll see our roadsides are looking pretty dang good because we've been using that expensive pre-emergent to control at the seed stage. So right when it germinates, that pre-emergent will kill it. When it's little like that, you can still kill it with some herbicides. 2,4-D and Vista do a good job on it, but most other herbicides aren't going to be effective. And once it gets bigger, like 6 to 8 inches, it's going to be really hard to kill. So we have such a small window to kill this, and it's continuously germinating throughout the year, so it's very problematic. Russian thistle, this is a winter annual again. It kind of looks like grass once it starts germinating, but once you can identify it, you can see it pretty clear. It's not really resistant to a lot of the herbicides like kochia, but you do need to get it when it's little. And then the pre-emergent, again, is probably the best tool we have for getting this under control. Okay, so what we have been up to, we've done about probably 15 property visits right now. We have done more than that, backpack loaners, probably up to 7, about 10 cost share applications. We've treated the sheriff's office so far. The wind is just kicking our butts. We're not getting much done. It's even windy, like when I drop my kids off at school, so we have no time in the day to do anything, which is unfortunate.
Don't your kids go to school in Mancos?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the wind comes from the west. Couldn't you tie a sheet to them and just throw them up in the air?
Yeah, maybe. I wish. Send them on my horses. It would save on fuel costs for sure. Where was I? Oh yeah, so we're really trying. I visited all the county properties to make a priority list of which properties we need to hit first. We are treating the fairgrounds right now between winds because it has some hoary cress that's growing, but the fairgrounds is looking really good. We hit it pretty hard with a pre-emergent, so it's doing a lot better than it has in the past. We're also going to hit the landfill pretty soon, the Mancos gravel pit, and some of the yards. But overall, our county properties are looking great. Our county roadsides are looking great. We're treating for hoary cress, kochia, Russian thistle, and the annuals right now on our county right-of-ways. And then the bare ground roadside treatments, I'm trying to spray, but it's windy, but they're going to start as soon as the wind stops. We've covered pretty much all of our county roads with the bare ground strip. I haven't hit Mancos yet, so I need to do that, and then some other random areas, but overall I think we've gone at least one pass over all the roads on that bare ground strip. Education, we went to the Ag Expo, we went to the garden show, we had Lauren Boebert out here for a workshop, and we're going to be putting on some probably reseeding seminars, or at least partnering with High Desert Conservation District to get some of those kind of things out. We're getting set up for the spotted knapweed and Russian knapweed treatments with that HPP funding that expires July, so we need to spend the rest of that money. The Phreatophyte project, the mulcher has been down for a long time. Finally, we got the new cat excavator calibrated and we're up and running down McElmo Canyon with that, but it's been a slow spring just because our mulchers, that mulcher, the hydraulic pump exploded or something. So that's that. We're waiting on 2 more grant announcements for Water Smart and the GOCO wetlands. We should have heard in April, but they pushed back the announcement dates till May or June, which is frustrating because I really want to start planning. And then we're working with NRCS to complete the assessments and paperwork for the RCPP properties. Actually, they were just finally approved Friday, so we got 9 properties that we're going to be managing through RCPP, which is great. And then this morning I met with Matt Sheether, Walt Hennis, and then my crew, and we walked the Hawkins fire to see what that looked like. We also walked what didn't burn down McElmo Creek, just because we're thinking about using prescribed burning as a good first step for some of these areas down McElmo Creek. And the Hawkins fire did such an amazing job, so we're gonna probably start planning on that. I'm gonna try to get some fuel mitigation funds to help fund a prescribed burn to get some of that McElmo Creek cleaned up. And then as far as the Dove property that burned in the Hawkins fire, we're gonna go back and we're gonna treat the sprouts, and we were talking to Walt Hennis about which types of seeds to try to get reestablished in that area, but it looks phenomenal. It looks really good. That's all I got.
I can vouch for that. I was down there this weekend and it looks really good down there. The natives are coming back and the phreatophytes are toast.
The sprouts are coming, but, and there's a lot of Russian knapweed that we need to treat too, but yeah, it looks great.
I'll get with Matt Sheether and make sure he gets the after-action report from the controlled burns outside of Santa Fe.
I'm taking it they didn't go very well.
Did you see the mountains this morning?
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That was a
they're-
prescribed
That's the
burn?
reason why.
They're kind of in a little bit of a jam down there.
Yeah, these fires will most likely be done late fall when it snows. The spring is just so unpredictable, the winds. and
November.
It's just, yeah, or even December or January, you know, because it's so dry in the fall, but once we start getting that snow, these guys will still burn pretty well, so,
Snow, good.
yeah.
Are we gonna wait for that?
Gotta be optimistic,
Okay.
Jim, okay?
Very good.
Yes. Any preguntas?
Nope.
Nope.
On your application or your request for that Senate funding from Bennett and Hickenlooper's office, they will not fund any labor hours or anything with that thing, okay?
Okay, but maybe equipment, because we
The
need
equipment, I told him to put, they actually called me about it,
Oh.
talked to me about it, and I told him the equipment was probably the most important thing. So that's where that's gonna come back if we get
Yeah.
selected. Okay?
No, that
I
would be
mean,
great.
So that's where that is. I just
Okay.
thought I'd let you know, cause John Whitney called me about that.
Okay, yeah, it was
situation
so
with-
vague, they didn't have
with
much
the-
information about what they would
Yeah,
fund.
and that's what he said. They're terrible about not putting that out there and telling you what you can actually get, because they will not fund the,
Gotcha. But yeah, we could definitely use another excavator, another mulcher attachment, a wood chipper, another pickup truck, like, we need.
that kind of stuff they will actually, that's a
That'd be great.
possibility that we can get selected for.
Awesome.
Anyway, that's what I
I'm
told
crossing
him,
my
just go
fingers.
for that and not
Not
worry about
labor.
that other stuff, take it out of there. If we
Copy
need
that.
to, whatever, to make it more possible to get it, so,
Gotcha. Good to know.
okay.
All right.
All right, thank you, Bonnie.
Thank
Bye.
you, Bonnie.
Okay, Shaq, now we'll jump back to the opposite side of this agenda, and we'll go to your report.
Okay, Commissioners, the first thing I have for you is, and you've all seen this in the emails, is another DocuSign that you will have, Jim. It is for the Health Department. It is for their immunization contract that covers the typical immunizations that we always do at the Health Department: measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, all that kind of stuff.
Question?
No, I read this, it looks fine to me.
And I've reviewed this and it looks fine.
Thank you, Ian.
So I would move we DocuSign contract amendment number 5 with Colorado Department of Health and Environment.
Second,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign contract amendment number 5 with CDPHE and our public health agency. All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Okay,
Okay, and then I wanted to brief the commissioners. The Economic Development Team has been working with the Department of Local Affairs and PUMA and our local education groups. As we know, labor participation is not the highest it's ever been in Montezuma County. So collaboratively, we have reached out to our community education people and reviewed several plans, some interesting stuff for the commissioners to be aware of. We do have a higher rate of concurrent enrollment in education with PCC than the rest of the state does. We're at 41%. The rest of the state is at about 36%. And so that's good. A lot of that is coming out of the Mancos High School. We all are also getting more dollars per student than the rest of the state. Some caution signs to be aware of is that enrollment is down in Dolores County by 20%, Montezuma County 1%, and the rest of the state is up 10%. So that's something to be aware of. And Montezuma County has the second highest turnover rate for teachers in the state. Most of our teachers, if they don't have a summer job, are about $23,000 short of being able to buy a home in the district in which they are teaching. And so we're working with Chad Wheelis on his Homegrown Talent Initiative through Montezuma Cortez High School, and he's really kind of helping to take the lead on this and talking about expanding something that's currently happening in Durango for a business education connection, and to create internships for high school and college students within the county. Hopefully we'll be able to work on that. We've looked at some of the collaboration going on in other school districts to help students get ahead with math and problem solving skills, which seems to be most of what employers are looking at, and trying to bring some of these projects back to Pueblo Community College and to bolster their ag. Again, Jessica and Chad are kind of taking the lead on this, and Pueblo Community College is working to start producing career certificates that would actually be usable for Axis. Right now, Axis requires a bachelor's degree, but they're working to put together certificate programs that would actually help us with our behavioral health stuff as well. One thing that we would like to see the commissioners begin to undertake, and I'll try to make this as short of a synopsis as possible, but one of the problems that is plaguing the area and maybe the United States as a whole is, you know, when we have these kids that are growing up in town and they live in an apartment building or they live in a trailer park or whatever, their chores consist of make the bed, take out the trash, and that's basically it. And it's illegal for them to get a job until they're 16, so they got 20 minutes worth of chores to do, and then everybody wonders why they're running around getting in trouble and they're bored. I understand there's a need for child labor laws, right? Like, we don't want 6-year-olds working 18-hour days in coal mines, but we think that there's probably nothing wrong with a healthy 12, 13, 14-year-old kid doing 1 or 2 hours of work after school and getting paid for it. And so we'd like for the commissioners to begin working with CCI to see if there's some things that we could do to create programs in the state that would allow for younger work age. So, I mean, obviously every restaurant, every grocery store in the area has a help wanted sign up, and there's no reason that youth couldn't help to fill that need if there weren't laws in the way to prevent them from doing it. And we think it would have a twofold effect on things. One, some of these youth would have something to do besides potentially go out and get in trouble, and two, it could help meet some of the labor force needs. So we'd be asking as we move into CCI, before the spring legislation session, to see if we could do something to allow for younger work, not putting kindergarteners to work for Kinder Morgan, but, you know, healthy younger kids
So
being
what
able to
would be
do
the
something.
ask on the age? Because I think what we're gonna run into there more is the insurance purposes, anytime
Sure.
you have a child working.
Uh,
I mean, what is that? And it's not more just through legislation, I think it's more the insurance purposes, because they're still gonna have to be signed up and covered under a workman's comp.
Sure.
I think it's a bigger ask than just a legislation to move an age restriction out of the,
Yeah, so there are two hurdles that have to be crossed. My initial reaction, without knowing what the insurance companies would say, I would say by 14, it should be good for a kid to go out and do a couple hours of work. I mean, when I was growing up at Echo Basin, I think the standard for starting was walking, but there wasn't any insurance on that, so.
that would be
but-
my question, is what's the ask? Because until we really have
So
something to
if we
write
get
into
some
the language.
numbers together for ages and insurance rate, is it something that the commission's willing to take to CCI and start working through the process?
Yeah,
If we put the information
oh,
together?
yeah.
Because
I
that's
think-
part of what the grant from DOLA for this economic recovery and resiliency that we have the consultants hired to work with is for them to work on this. So if they get that strategy, will you guys take it to CCI?
Yeah, I would. I don't see a
I
problem.
don't have an issue, it would go there, where it goes from there is up to 64
Well, yeah,
counties.
obviously, you can't control the legislature. I bet you wish you could at least pump the brakes on them, but. And so I just wanted to make you aware that that's what we're working on. That'll be an ask, and if we get that strategy laid out,
Here's
will
my
you carry it
concern,
to
is if you look
CCI?
at the data that you just gave to us,
Mhm.
Montezuma, which is RE1, is only 1%.
They're
is
down
only-
1%
Is only
enrollment.
up 1%?
No, down 1%. The rest
Or,
of the
I'm
state
sorry,
is up
down
10.
1%? So, I mean, like Region 9's report said, do we really even have the kids anymore? It sounds like that's diminishing all the time.
They are diminishing, and the ones we have are getting in a lot of trouble if they're, if they don't have things to do. And, you know, I think to some extent, we don't allow these kids to work until they're 16. Maybe they don't get a job till they get out of college. And there's certain skills like language, it's just easier to learn earlier in life. Critical thinking, problem solving, I think when we don't give these if kids aren't even starting to learn that till they join the workforce at 22, we're leaving them kind of way behind. So,
There was allowances under the child labor laws at one time for kids at 14 to go into the workforce. But the hours of work were pretty well set. You know, nothing after sundown, nothing before sunup, and all this, so many hours a day.
they never met my dad.
I know.
Well, that's different. I
But,
mean,
and there's a
different
family
parents are
consideration
gonna
in there
do-
too.
Right, right,
But,
yeah. So if we put together something, will you carry it to CCI? Yeah, obviously you gotta look at it first.
yeah.
Yeah. We'll look at it.
All right, good. And then, I think the rest of everything I've been up to, you guys are gonna cover in your reports, so I'll kick it back to you guys unless there's any
Okay.
further questions.
All right, very good. Any questions for Shaq?
No,
All right. Who did I start with last week?
I don't know. I'll go.
Go ahead.
This week I attended, and also all of us attended the Cortez City Council meeting, and saw the installation of the new council members, and congratulations to Rachel Medina and Alina Yazzie for their positions as mayor and mayor pro tem. And I think just in speaking with them, we'll be able to continue our relationship that we have grown and fostered over the last 2 years. So hopefully we'll get there with the other 2 municipalities and get back to business. Also, set in yesterday on a CCI meeting about Senate Bill 230, and there's some concern across the state about this bill and what it all will accomplish and put us through. So if you have any interest in this kind of stuff, you might want to watch this. There is, what, 252 amendments now to this bill?
I think it's 270 now.
270
as
now,
of this
okay,
morning.
yeah. So
Which is really unrealistic.
It is.
You're not gonna get 270 amendments, and you can't even go over the amendments prior
yeah,
Prior to passing it?
to it. Yeah,
Well, it'll
it's
go to-
almost, it's unthinkable, it's unrealistic, it just doesn't make any logical sense.
yeah, you know, if it's enacted and we go through all of this, this is gonna cost us a lot of money. And so if you have any pull with anybody out there, call them. On the Democratic representative side or Senate side, it's a little bit late in the Senate, but on the House side, then it will go to a conference committee and no telling how they'll tear it up, so keep watch of that. And, of course, the usual phone calls, messages, stuff like that. And, just a reminder, today is a red flag day. Some are saying we're supposed to get some moisture sometime today, but I don't think so. So don't light anything off today. The guys are busy enough. They spent a lot of time over the weekend out and about, and it was busier than craziness out there. And that's about all I have to say.
Okay. Commissioner?
Okay, like Kent said, I attended the Cortez council meeting also with their new members. I attended the Mancos Town board meeting, and they sworn in their new member. The only new member that they swore in was Richard Tokar. He was inducted onto the board. They're planning on building a new water tank. They let out or okayed the money for the bid for their new water tank. It's a little over $1 million at that meeting, and that was the main thing that they did pass during that meeting, other than inducting Richard onto the board. On Friday, I attended the native fish and the M&R team for the Lower Dolores, and that group now just meets once a year, and basically what was gone over was mostly the populations of the different fish down there, and the fact that this last year the water was so short that there was no connection between the pools and stuff. So it basically set up a scenario like the river used to be before the dam was actually put in. It's going to be interesting to see what the populations do in the next year, because those type of situations actually will favor the native fish more than it will the predators. So it depopulated a lot of the trout below the dam because the water all got too warm. It didn't help much with the smallmouth bass that are further down, because both of those are a predator on the actual natives. So most of the natives they're seeing are still older fish. Once they get so big, then they're not as likely to get eaten. But as they keep reproducing all their young ones, these other predators, the trout, especially the brown trout, is really a significant predator on the other fish. And the smallmouth bass are too, especially on the smaller new ones. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see how much this helps actually the natives. We may see some actually young ones make it through more than what we have had in the past few years. But just simply because there's no connection between the pools, if there was no predators in that pool, then those natives may have a better chance of getting up to a size where that they won't be eaten. Also, the other thing that happens is once you get down to Disappointment Creek, and Disappointment Creek comes in with so much silt into the river, not many of the smallmouth bass get below that because they cannot stand there's a lot of salt in it, where it comes in, disappointment comes in. And they tried shocking the fish and stuff down there, but there's so much salt in the water, they actually couldn't, it wouldn't conduct. Like what he was talking about with the electric cars.
Yeah.
They couldn't shock them and actually do their counts and stuff. They just had to do it by netting and that sort of thing, whatever they could do, because the shocking wouldn't work because there wasn't enough flow there, and it was too salty for the electrical shock to work on them. So,
Good.
then on Saturday night, I attended the NRA banquet and had a good time. It was a pretty good time. It was sold out for months ahead of time. I know a lot of people tried to get in and they couldn't get in, but it had a real good turnout and a real good response and support from the people here. So appreciate all that.
You reminded me of one thing for everybody out there. The city of Cortez did let contracts go on and approve the resurfacing and redoing of North Mildred. I'm not sure if it goes all the way from the Main Street past the hospital, but I do know the section by the hospital is going to be redone, and I bet you it goes down to at least Empire Street. And also South Sligo Street is scheduled to be redone. So it's going to inconvenience people for a while. Those are two heavily trafficked roads, so be careful out there.
Yeah.
Gerald, I have a question, or a couple of questions. I know that CPW doesn't have a limit on size or number of smallmouth you can catch on the lower Dolores because they're invasive. Is that true for trout also, or do you know?
It's not true for the trout.
Okay.
It's just the smallmouth, because they're the trout they put in there. They basically put that trout in from the dam down to the Bradfield Bridge. They've tried to manage that as a trout fishery, so you get some migration on down from there. But the smallmouth are mostly all below that, on down by the pumps and down in that area, and they would like for them to be completely out of there, because the only reason they got there is because the actual lake spilled over the spillway rather than be out through the
So for all our anglers out there, there's no catch limit, no size limit on smallmouth below the dam.
That's right.
And then, just more curiosity than anything, what is the gestation period, if you know, on the smallmouth eggs? Will the ponding season be over and those eggs die out, or will there be enough water to come back in and the eggs will hatch?
What helps more with the smallmouth bath is if you can, once they nest, the male sits on the nest of eggs, but what helps to depopulate them is to be able to flush him off of the eggs. If you can flush him off of the eggs, then you can actually cut down their population by doing that. Okay. Is what I understand. The best way to do that. At that period of time, unless there's water available and we're actually capable of spilling and releasing a bunch of water, it takes quite a bit of water to flush them off of there. Sure. It takes quite a bit to take them off.
A lot more than what's there now, huh?
Yeah, by far, and has been for several years. So we haven't had much help as far as cutting their population down, other than just people throwing them out, just catching them and getting rid of them. In their different times that we've had this thing, we actually had it studied by a bunch of scientists one time to see, because when this whole thing started, as far as the native fish down there, and this whole thing started because we were worried that they would get listed, we actually got a grant to have some people come in and actually study the fish down there and figure out what it would take to get back to where we had some native population down there. And when they come up through with their study, basically what it amounted to is the only way we could fix that river is to get rid of the predators. And if you can't get rid of the predators, you're not gonna fix it. That's basically what they said. It doesn't matter how much water, how far you cut it down. If you don't get rid of the predators, you cannot fix this problem. So that was their basically summary.
Eradicating prairie dogs now.
Man,
Gonna be a tough go.
Dare I say zebra mussel?
Doesn't. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Like these two gentlemen, I also attended the Tuesday City Council meeting. Won't go over that anymore. Wednesday, day started off going to a Southwest Colorado Regional Broadband Summit. And basically, the objective there is to develop and update a comprehensive regional broadband plan for the future and funding opportunities. There were several speakers. Laura Lewis Marchino started it from Region 9, went to Region 10 director, and a regional broadband director from Region 10, Michelle Haynes and Corey Brindle. Then we heard from Chris Grunderman from IX Denver. Wanted to do some Colorado broadband overview and funding opportunities from Brandy, I think her name was Reeder. And then it went into a regional broadband panel, which included Matt Selko, La Plata County Commissioner, as the moderator, Eric Heidel, Rick Smith, Jim McLean, Beth Kramer, Delbert Cuthair, Diane Cruz, and I'm missing one. They had 3 questions that were posed to them. They were able to answer all 3 questions, and then lunch was served after that as far as that summit. Had a NACO transportation meeting right after that. And something that I thought was pretty unique, they gave us an overview of a new company, Jolt, that's creating, it looks like a drone, but it's like a private aircraft.
yeah.
But if you could take the model size drone and expand that into a 6-passenger airplane, that's what they're developing, and the development's happening right now in California. And they may have somebody at NACO and might have one of those machines up there anyway. I think they were called Jolt Enterprise. I don't have that in front of me, but I can send you guys the information on that. After that, I had then a phone interview for the health needs assessment, which was basically health needs assessment for the entire county. And a full report will be able to be found on that in early fall, and it'll be on the hospital's website. Thursday started off in Durango with the regional Region 9 meeting. The biggest part of that conversation was how are they going to absorb the COG after this year that they have that is already budgeted. So right now, Region 9 is absorbing the COG and running their grants, whatever they have on the books. But the biggest part of the discussion was how is that going to be managed moving forward? Because to pay both sides of that is extremely expensive, and I know for us in Montezuma County, if I remember right, it was about $39,000 or $40,000.
For the COG, which is, Region 9 is, our Region 9 dues are nowhere close to that.
Correct, which that was one of the biggest things that I brought up. The city of Cortez also echoed the same thing, that, you know, we are not part of that association, and so our fear is how are they going to move the fees. So a lot more discussion to come with that. Let's see. Housing Authority meeting then Thursday night when I got back into town. The Housing Authority is gonna list a couple pieces of the orphan properties that they have. I've kinda talked to you guys about that before. We did select some, costs, so watch for that if you're interested. Friday, this was a colorful meeting. CCI started at 9 o'clock and we got done at 5. And the biggest part of that discussion that day, which took a long time, was SB 22-230. We still stayed on an opposed position on that bill. There was supposed to be a special meeting today to talk about it, and that has also been canceled, because, just for the simple fact, you can't go over 200 plus amendments and come out anywhere on anything good. That was the most confrontational bill that went over that day, but all 9 steering committees were able to go over everything they had, any of the new bills. We have 650 as of last Friday bills that have hit, and they anticipate another possible 200 bills by the end of the session, which we have 10 days left for the end of this session. So if you can even imagine that,
20 a
with
day, huh?
all of the bills that are in play. I did testify Wednesday night, jumping back, opposing Senate Bill 230 along with La Plata County and our op-ed that we put out. Hopefully it's in the Journal soon. And La Plata County's hit the Herald. I did see that. I want to say it was yesterday, in opposition to that bill. That testimony started, luckily I could do it via WebEx, about 3:30, and I finally testified at 8 o'clock. So a lot of commissioners are testifying against that. Then went Friday night to the Louis Areola Hoedown, which is a fundraiser for the put on by the PTO out at Louis Areola. They utilized the fairgrounds. They had it spread out through the entire indoor arena. It was a great place to hold it because there were a lot of kids out there running around, and they had a lot of different, almost like carnival type setup, from a chicken poop contest to a toss. They had face painting. It was actually set up very well. They had some very good prizes, and they had a pie auction, which served them very well. So that PTO out there does a really good job. Saturday, then attended, because I couldn't be at 2 places at one time, and obviously my tickets didn't win anything because you didn't call me, but I was at the Dolores Chamber Banquet, where they announced their Citizen of the Year and their Business of the Year, which was the Flying Pig, which has never been nominated. We found out that night, and they've been there for over 20-some years, so that was kind of a fun event for Saturday night. Yesterday, we started off the day, and all 3 of us commissioners were there to kick off the CIP program, community intervention program, with the clinicians and the EMTs from the Cortez Fire. That van is in operation and functioning, and again, thank you guys and all of the other elected officials that were there, because that was a contribution from the county and all of the municipalities that put in ARPA money to get that thing going, to hopefully relieve a lot of our law enforcement of having to be on scene because of nobody has done any criminal activity, so they can't do anything with them, and hopefully then be able to get these people the help they need through a different type of a response. And let's see, I believe that will conclude my report. All right. So, gentlemen, if you don't have anything else.
I do not.
What about the NRCS? Do you want to
Oh.
bring that up now?
Yes, I did check. We, under unfinished business, we were gonna check on the NRCS over the request, that Mr. Swicker
Yeah.
had talked to us a couple of work sessions ago, and we forgot to ask Rob, so would you just email him? I think maybe Gerald, you've been in contact with the NRCS also, where we lie with that road and that irrigation ditch down there at that location.
Okay. I talked to Joel down at NRCS, and he basically, he told me, because we had heard rumors that Mr. Swicker had actually backed out whenever this thing had been approved before, and he really wouldn't. He said that's not totally true. Basically, he said that it wasn't just Mr. Swicker's fault. They've worked on this ditch, I guess, a multitude of times, trying to get them all to agree on it, and it has fell apart every time. He basically told me that unless they had everybody in agreement to work on this thing, that he would not even look at it again, because over the last 10 or 15 years, they have looked at this thing different times, and because that ditch comes from all the way up there by Jimmy Porter's, down through Major's, all the way down there to Swicker's, and somebody has fell out of it every time they've went to work through this thing, and they can't ever get agreement on it. He told me that until everybody on there had agreed on everything, they would not even look at it again, because they've looked at it so many times, and it's fell apart every time. They're not gonna spend any more time on it.
Okay.
So I
So
don't
that's
need
the
to email
situation, but
Rob
it wasn't
about
specifically any one person that knocked it out at any one time.
Okay.
Okay?
The only other thing I forgot to report to is yesterday Vicki and I had lunch with API, a lady from Denver, Alejandra Major, and it was basically just to kind of catch up. She was working with the high school students down here at MCHS, so that was one thing that I did forget. All right. All
Done.
right, good enough, yep.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn this May 3rd meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.